What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So we're going to be watching a video. It did come out about 2 days ago. I missed it as usual because I'm on tour as usual. So I just got back home last night and want to watch this. I love Cyberpunk. It's one of my favorite games. I loved it from the beginning. Like, all the bugs and everything, yeah, were a nightmare, but it wasn't enough for me to stop playing it. And to be fair, I never really had that many bugs. The bugs that I had were quite funny. It just made me laugh. I did have a lot of crashes, and that was the most annoying thing. And the police was really annoying. And I now know that they've completely changed everything. They've improved on pretty much every area. The skill tree is different, the UI is different, the police system's been rebuilt from the ground up. There's so many different things that they've changed and improved and recreated. I can't wait to see what this DLC is going to be like. Another thing is that the graphics are meant to be way better because now they're only focusing on next-gen consoles. I don't think previous consoles are getting this DLC. And eventually, once we get the DLC, this comes with a patch, a 2.0 patch, which will be implemented into the original game as well. So all these improvements and changes and everything that they've done to make this game better is actually going to get put into the original game as well. So that makes it exciting to go back and play Cyberpunk again, because it's going to feel completely different and way better. So I can't wait for this. Let's watch this video and see what this guy's on about, and yeah, we'll talk about it at the end.
Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty feels a lot more like a top-to-bottom overhaul of the original game than a standard expansion. Of course, it will feature a new story with new characters and a new area to explore, but what left me the most excited is how this expansion could potentially shake up the original experience and address many issues players had at launch.
See, that's the thing though, is that Cyberpunk, they've done so many updates, and the last time I played, it was actually really good. Like, it was way better than it was at launch. So this whole thing that they're rewriting it and they've overhauled everything, and that new update is actually getting put onto the original game as well once Phantom Liberty comes out. The whole game could be completely different when you play it, which makes me excited to go back and play it again.
Before our hands-on demo, Quest director Pavel Sasko told us that nearly every system had been changed, tweaked, or redone entirely. Unlockable abilities in the skill tree felt more like perks rather than passive stat bonuses, cybernetics are a lot more robust, offering more gameplay options, and the infamous police response system has been rebuilt from the ground up. Now, this isn't the first time developer CD Projekt Red has done something like this. The Witcher 3's final expansion brought with it a number of changes to the UI and combat, but Phantom Liberty is attempting to comprehensively rewrite Cyberpunk's DNA. Phantom Liberty isn't just a glorified update though. It brings with it a story that leans heavily into the spy thriller genre, and new characters including the gruff sleeper cell agent Solomon Reed, portrayed by the illustrious Idris Elba, and a new lawless district of Night City called Dogtown. The setup is fairly simple. A mysterious character who goes by Songbird promises V that she can remove the deadly biochip from her head if she can save and protect the president of the new United States after her aircraft crashes in Dogtown.
See, that's the thing as well, which I didn't realize, is that the DLC is actually placed, the storyline of this DLC is actually placed somewhere in the middle of Cyberpunk's original story. I thought it was just going to be an extra story added onto the end, or maybe before the game that we've played happens, but it's actually meant to be at some point in the middle. I think it's before you blow up Arasaka Tower or something. I can't remember, we'll probably find out.
My session began in the seedy underbelly of Dogtown, a district nestled inside of Pacifica. Garbage littered the neon-washed alleyways, and cybered-up riffraff ambled the sidewalks. It was a sight not too far off from what we saw in Cyberpunk 2077, but Dogtown has a rugged lawlessness to it that feels more in line with the post-apocalyptic streets
I like all
of
the
Escape
flying
from New
cars,
York than the
just
compact,
feels like
multi-layered thoroughfares of Night City. This may seem strange given its location within Night City, but Dogtown is largely cut off from the city, acting more as an independent city-state rather than a district. Sasko also told us that Dogtown is very difficult to enter and exit without the right connections. After completing the first few missions, V can enter and leave Dogtown as they please, but access to the area is closed off until you begin the expansion. It's tough to give any firm impressions of the story based on what I played, but it seems CD Projekt Red is using this expansion to dig deeper into Johnny Silverhand's character. At one point, while we were waiting for Solomon Reed by the rundown basketball court, Johnny reflected on his time in the army and grappled with his guilt for deserting. It was a messy, introspective moment that showed a side of Johnny.
I feel like when you're seeing all the new gameplay of Phantom Liberty, you can tell the graphics are better. And like that's because they're not using PS4 or older generation consoles now. They're literally just focusing on next gen and PC. I feel like you can tell in these scenes with like Johnny Silverhand just a moment ago in the whatever vehicle they are in the sky. You can just tell. I feel like you can just see that the graphics are better and improved. Like, if you look at the difference from this one to what we've just seen, it already looks a lot better.
Johnny we never really saw in Cyberpunk 2077. It's clear that Johnny hates the establishment and everything the NUSA stands for, but listening to his rage-fueled rantings about how the military hides violence under the guise of hollow platitudes while simultaneously feeling guilty shows that it's a chapter of his life that he's never managed to close. Of course, the star of the expansion is Special Agent Reed. He's a gruff and charismatic undercover operative that is poised to play a central role in Phantom Liberty. Like Idris Elba himself, Reed has a commanding, larger-than-life presence to him. He's confident, calculated, and imposing. My first encounter with Reed began with him jamming a gun into V's side from behind as he vets them. It's a great little introduction that fits nicely within the spy thriller-inspired story. While I still have many questions about who Reed is and what his motives are, he seems like he could be a good foil to Johnny's anarchist worldview. What's most impressive though is how different Phantom Liberty feels compared to the vanilla experience, and how all these changes could breathe new life into the core experience.
That's what I mean. He's saying how different Phantom Liberty feels to the original experience. Like, it's the same game, but it feels completely different. That's what's really exciting about it, because then if it feels completely new and it's a lot better, it's a completely different experience, then going back and playing the original will feel like a whole new experience as well. So I really like that that is a thing, because it'll make me want to go back and play it again for like the 4th time.
Nearly every system has been touched up or redone, and new mechanics have been introduced, such as car combat, and these features aren't limited to Phantom Liberty. For example, cybernetics received a complete overhaul. Now armor is tied to your cyberware rather than clothing. This means you can wear whatever you want without worrying about your overall defense and combat effectiveness.
Cool. I like that, because in the original game it was so stupid. You'd have like the most ridiculous looking like bra, like this thing here. You'd have like this and it would be like such a higher armor compared to whatever, I don't know, something else that would look like armor. So you'd end up walking about with the most ridiculous clothing on. And in the end, it just kind of felt a little bit pointless. Like, I hope that they have a lot more. Well, they've just said, obviously, now clothing doesn't matter. There's no like armor or stats to your clothing. You can basically wear whatever you want, but you kind of level yourself up through cyberware. So I think that's a definite improvement on the game.
You can't install a bunch of cyberware at once. As you progress, you'll increase your cyberware limit, and if you install too much, you'll be hit with various debuffs. Not only that, but when you install new cyberware, you'll get to see the installation process from V's point of view. While we didn't get specific examples of how cyberpsychosis could affect your character, getting debuffs from excessive cybernetics fits within the context of the world. It seems like a much more refined system that will force players to carefully pick and choose cyberware that fits their playstyle. Skill trees across the board have also been reworked to introduce new abilities and perks that should spice up combat. Sasko told us that they wanted to get away from the percentage-based stat buffs that populated the original skill tree and build them around unique class-based skills. During my time, I only got to play as a fast solo build equipped with a thermal katana and mantis blades.
That's what I really like as well, is that now it will feel more like an RPG, because you'll get to follow a certain class, like a certain build. Whereas before, like, it was right, you just have all these skills and you can just be everything at once. Now I think it'd be cool to go through and actually choose how you want to play the game. And it'll feel like properly more like an RPG. Like, he said he's chose some like fast mantis blade class, where I guess you could choose like a stealth class or maybe just a strength class. I don't know, but it's quite cool that that's now the direction you're going in, because you can actually now fully create your character to be how you want it to be. And if you keep putting on cyberware, then you do get cyberpsychosis, which I don't know what happens then, but I know I've heard before, and also the guy mentioned on here, that if you add too many cyberware, cybernetics, whatever it's called, then eventually it will actually start to decrease your health. So it's going to be quite interesting how you manage that as well.
New improved reflex skill tree, I could dash midair, deflect bullets, and perform gory finishers. I'm curious to see how robust these revamped skill trees are, particularly when it comes to net running, but if my time with a fast solo build was any indication, I think there should be some cool surprises in store for every class archetype. Phantom Liberty also brings with it the long-awaited revamped police and notoriety system. At launch, Cyberpunk 2077 was derided for its simplistic and unfair notoriety system. Police would spawn instantly and in random locations, even if there was no police nearby. That's not the case in Phantom Liberty. Now, similar to GTA 5, if you commit a crime, the police will investigate. If you're nearby, they will engage. If not, they will search the area. As you commit more crimes in quick succession, they will get more aggressive, and if you hit a 5-star wanted level, a SWAT-like special forces unit in the Cyberpunk universe will show up.
That's what I wanted. That's what I want. Imagine just like you get to the 5-star and then they all start swatting in from all these aircraft and start coming down on ropes. That is something that we just never got. It was literally, you shoot someone and within seconds there's like 5 police officers in the building, like around you. Like they just bug in. It was so annoying. It was so hard to get away from them sometimes as well because they're just there all the time. So the police system is going to be so much better. And how he said that the police will actually start looking around for you. Maybe you can hide. Like you could never do that before. You couldn't just hide and like we'll let the police sort of look around. That would be so cool, especially if they've done it right. So imagine being in a building and you can maybe hide in a locker or behind a table and it's dark and they come in, they've got the flashlights and they're looking for you and they've got some really interesting dialogue around like where are you and trying to find you. I think that will just feel so much better. Well, anything's going to be better than what we got.
Sasko even told us that bosses will spawn in the world if you get your notoriety high enough. However, police aggression is also dependent on your location. They'll be much quicker to respawn in wealthier, more populated areas like Corpo Plaza. When you do piss off NCPD, you're no longer limited to on-foot combat. Phantom Liberty introduces vehicular combat and weapon-mounted vehicles. Using the bumper buttons, you can aim your gun out the window and fire, and if you're on a motorcycle, you can wield melee weapons.
Sick.
I don't know how practical swinging a katana from the side of your motorcycle actually is, but it sure looks badass.
I did hear as well that you can actually now burst tires on vehicles. So on your motorbike, you can pull out your katana and go past the enemy's cars and actually slash the tires, which will be sick because you could never do that before. I just think that's a really cool, just a cool thing to add into it.
And to fit in the spy thriller aesthetic, you can even unlock a sports car with miniguns hidden behind the bumper, a la James Bond's famous Aston Martin. These features aren't locked to the new area or DLC story. They are global changes that will affect the entire game from start to finish and rebalance nearly every aspect of the experience. There's a compelling case to start fresh, as many of these mechanics are designed to reinforce Cyberpunk's world building and hone in on the role-playing aspects at its foundation. The video game redemption arc has become all too common these days. I can't blame people for giving up on Cyberpunk 2077 after its messy launch, but it was hard to deny its potential. And based on what I saw of Phantom Liberty, Cyberpunk 2077 could finally live up to it.
Okay, so like, that's just sounding great. Like, the whole thing sounds so much better, the graphics look better, the gameplay looks better. I love the fact that now you can actually just choose your own build and like work towards that. So you can just go on the skill tree. I don't think we actually got to see the new skill trees, but I've seen it before. It looks completely different and you can sort of go down certain directions and not just have everything given to you at once. And I really like that. That's going to definitely make the game feel a lot more... Well, just how you will play it will be completely different. How you go about things, you can just be a stealth build or fast build. I like the fact that now with the katanas you can block bullets and you can choose to be like more like a samurai. There's so many different things that are including, like I said, the vehicle combat. I mean, I wasn't ever that bothered about the vehicle combat. It's not a thing that really excited me, but I imagine it would be a lot more fun if you could have them moments where you're getting chased by the police or chased by whatever gang and you're in your car. It'll just have the whole moments between going from A to B and you come across all these different people, like the police or different gangs. It'll feel a lot more like fun. There's just more stuff going on. I know that they've also put a lot of different AI into the game, so supposedly you might come across all these different characters that are actually doing things around the world, and they'll react to how you are or seeing you. For example, I've seen these two guys on some video and they're trying to rob a vendor, and then they realize that like our character's coming towards them, and then they talk to each other, say, oh, shit, move quick, like someone's coming. So there's people doing things, and it's not just like people walking around and that's it. So hopefully the world's gonna feel more alive. That was one thing, is that even though the world was great and I loved it, I thought it was a really immersive world, before it launched, it felt like this was going to be such a realistic world where everyone's doing something. They always said that everyone has a day and night cycle, everyone has like their own life that they live, all the NPCs, so I would follow them and they just wouldn't really do much. Hopefully now it's going to be different. And yeah, like I said, with it being just on next-gen consoles, I think they can maybe put that in there now. I think just the game's going to feel a lot closer to what they wanted it to be, and I'm down for this. I can't wait. I can't wait. I love Cyberpunk. I know that they're going to do more. They're actually going to continue the Cyberpunk world. They're not just going to end it, which I'm so happy about, because obviously if they learn from all the mistakes and Phantom Liberty does really well, then the next Cyberpunk game is just going to follow on from that, and I just can't wait to play more of Cyberpunk. The world, the characters, and everything about it is just like pretty much my perfect type of game. So yeah, this looks sick. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Are you looking forward to Phantom Liberty? Did you enjoy Cyberpunk anyway, or was it a disaster for you? Let me know down in the comments below. Drop me a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos from me. But that's it. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you all on the next one.